what's up, YouTube? It's Boy Familiar on a live channel. Back on another video. As into Will Mac Daddy, GTA 6 possible villain is massively dividing the fans.
Hey everyone, in
Here's
today's
why.
video, we're taking a
Let's
deep
see.
dive into one of GTA 6's most mysterious and controversial
I don't even
characters,
know,
and
like,
that's
I don't even know who, like, the villain will be in GTA 6. I always been saying it. I feel like Lucia betrays Jason. That's what I always been thinking. I don't know if that really counts as, like, the villain, though. I've heard people saying like that, like the villain is that cop guy in the trailer. I see this guy. I think he's about to say Brian right now. I think he's saying they got a Paul. Like, looks like they say Brian. But I feel like I don't think Brian's no villain. I feel like Brian. I actually seen something. I think I seen something where it said like Brian is like Jason's buddy, right? But he doesn't really trust Lucia. And I think like Raul or Val, um, I think Val Menendez, I think his name. The Wow guy, like the freaking bank robber guy. I think his name was like Wow or something like that. The bank robbing guy. I think they said like he's works with Lucia. He doesn't really trust Jason. And that's kind of like the conflict. You know what I'm saying?
Brian Heder, a name that at first glance might not sound as
Yeah, but I
intimidating
don't I
as the
don't know
likes
if
of Big
Brian is
Smoke,
like a
Dutch
bad guy though.
Vanderlyn, or even Michael DeSanta. But trust me, the fanbase is massively split over this character. When Rockstar dropped Trailer 2 and updated the official GTA 6 website, we got our first real look at the cast of characters inhabiting the state of Leonida. From rising street hustlers and small time rappers to powerful real estate moguls and legendary robbers. But buried in all of the chaos was one name that fans couldn't stop talking about: Brian Heder, a real estate and drug operation figure based out of the Leonida Keys, and someone many now believe could be the main villain of Grand Theft Auto 6. So here's where things get really interesting. Depending on who you ask, Brian Heder is either going to be one of Rockstar's most layered, compelling villains since Dutch Vanderlyn, or he's going to be a character fans absolutely love to hate. So today, let's break it all down: who he is, what makes him so divisive, how he connects with
I
Jason and
don't know. I
Lucia,
feel
and why
like
he might just redefine what a Rockstar antagonist looks like. Let's start with the basics. Brian Heder is a long-time drug trafficker and real estate operator in the southern islands of Leonida, specifically the Keys area just off of Vice City. He's been in the
yeah,
business
but
for
I
years.
actually did see something like. And I think when in that clip when it says I think it's like that clip where it says fuck. It's like they got your name, address, they got everything. I feel like I think people say that clip, like I guess because like it's like 50 because I guess like I think they were staying in like Brian's like house or whatever. Um um and they were saying like Brian's house or like living under Brian like the trailer or like the beginning where he said he's not making you pay for rent or whatever, but like he's living here, whatever, something like that. Um, uh, and I feel like people saying like the only way that people know that is because it's connected to Brian if it's his property, right? Like if they're renting it out, like people say like Brian was gonna probably snitch on them, whatever.
But unlike
So
a
I don't
lot of
know.
the flashy, larger than life GTA villains, Brian Hedder's operation is quiet, methodical, and deeply embedded in the infrastructure of Vice City. He's not out there with gold chains, rocket launchers, and 30 cars parked in his driveway. He's the kind of man who hides in plain sight, a wealthy, influential figure who does most of his business through middlemen. One of those middlemen, as we've learned from the official character descriptions, phones and leaked documents just happens to be Jason Duval. So right away, there's already a personal connection between our protagonist and this mysterious figure. Jason works for him, or at least used to. We know from the brief synopsis Rockstar dropped that Jason and Lucia's story is one built around love, loyalty, and survival, that Bonnie and Clyde partnership gone wrong. And it's not hard to imagine that Brian could play a huge part in pushing that story towards chaos. There's even a line from Rockstar's description that hints at Brian being in the later stages of his criminal career. It says he's taken more of a backseat in recent years, leaving his associates to handle the dirty work. That might sound like retirement, but anyone familiar with Rockstar's storytelling knows what that means. When a character tries to sit back and let the world move on without him, something always pulls him back in or destroys him. If that setup sounds familiar, that's because it is. Rockstar loves to write stories about mentorship, trust, and betrayal, and fans have already drawn heavy comparisons between Brian Heder and Dutch Vanderlyn from Red Dead Redemption
Yeah, I
2.
mean, I
Dutch
do
wasn't
think
your typical
betrayal, but I
villain. He wasn't
always
a cartoonish crime boss or a mindless
betrayal I only
killer.
see
He was
as
a leader,
Lucia,
a
bro.
father figure, a visionary,
I
until
don't
his
know.
own paranoia and greed slowly turned him into the very thing he swore he would never become. That's the same energy people are seeing with Brian Heder. Many believe he'll start off as a mentor figure to Jason, maybe even a father figure of sorts. But as the story unfolds, that relationship could crumble, and the betrayal that follows could become one of the most emotional turning points of the game. One fan on Reddit summed it up perfectly. Brian will be the next Dutch. He'll take Jason under his wing, teach him the ropes, and then betray him when it matters most. It's a believable theory. Rockstar has built a legacy on characters like this, complex, morally gray figures who make you feel something when they finally turn on you. But what makes Brian stand out is how grounded he seems compared to past villains. He's not unhinged like Trevor, and he's not a megalomaniac like Devin Weston. He feels real, like someone you could genuinely meet in South Florida, the kind of man who hides behind real estate empires and fake respectability while quietly pulling the strings of an entire region. Now, here's where things get interesting. Not everyone agrees that Brian is going to be the bad guy. In fact, the GTA fanbase is completely split down the middle. On one side, you've got the group that's convinced that Brian is the game's main antagonist, the man who manipulates Jason and Lucia into doing his
Oh
bidding before
no.
betraying them. They believe Rockstar is setting up a tragic arc, something in the same emotional league as Arthur Morgan and Dutch. But then there's the other camp, the players who think that Brian might actually be the voice of reason in this story. The guy who's trying to keep Jason from spiraling too far, warning him that the life he's chasing will eventually destroy him. One theory that's been making the rounds suggests that Brian will serve as the moral anchor, someone who genuinely tries to help Jason stay alive and out of trouble. But Jason, fueled by ambition and the influence of Lucia, eventually pushes too far. Their relationship collapses not because Brian betrays Jason, but because Jason betrays him. That dynamic, mentor versus student, caution versus chaos, is pure Rockstar gold. And it's one of the reasons why Brian Heder has become such a talking point. Fans can't agree on whether they're going to end up loving him or despising him. And that confusion is exactly what Rockstar thrives on. If you take a step back and look at Rockstar's storytelling over the years, you can actually see a clear evolution in how they handle villains. In the early GTA games, antagonists were straightforward. Catalina in GTA 3, Sonny Forelli in Vice City, Big Smoke in GTA San Andreas. They were fun, over the top, and easy to hate. But by the time GTA 4 rolled around, Rockstar had started to add more emotional complexity. Characters like Dimitri, friends turned enemies, personal betrayals, and moral dilemmas. And then came Red Dead Redemption 2, which completely changed the game. Dutch, Micah, and even Arthur weren't just villains or heroes, they were tragic figures molded by their own decisions and the world around them. Brian Heder looks like the next step in that evolution. He's not an unstoppable kingpin or a psychopath with a mansion full of gold. He's a man nearing the end of his career, trying to balance power, wealth, and morality, and kind of losing control of all
Oh,
three. That kind of villain
yeah.
doesn't just move the story forward, he defines it. Now, let's talk about the real question. How does Brian fit into the relationship between Jason and Lucia? If you look closely at the story setup we've gotten so far, GTA 6 seems to be centered around love, loyalty, and betrayal. Jason and Lucia are at the beating heart of the game, a duo trying to carve out their place in a world that's constantly trying to tear them apart. Brian could be the wedge between them. On one hand, he's the man that Jason looks up to, maybe even trusts. On the other, he represents everything Lucia hates: control, manipulation, and the old criminal order that's always keeping people like her on a leash. So imagine this: Lucia sees Brian for what he really is early on, but Jason doesn't. She wants out, he wants in. Over time, Brian's influence drives a rift between them, forcing Jason to choose between loyalty to his mentor and love for his partner. If Rockstar handles that right, it could make for one of the most emotionally charged storylines they've ever written. One where every decision you make feels like it carries real weight. So is Brian Heder going to be the next Dutch Vanderlyn? Maybe, but he could also be something entirely new. A reflection of the modern GTA world Rockstar's building, corrupt, powerful, and morally complex. Now, we're still months away from launch, and Rockstar has barely scratched the surface of who this man really is. But one thing's for sure, whether you love him, hate him, or don't trust him at all, Brian Heder has already done what every great Rockstar character does. He's got the entire fan base talking, and if Rockstar's track record means anything, that conversation's just getting started. So, what do you think about Brian Heder? Is he the next big Rockstar villain, the tragic father figure, or maybe just a misunderstood old-timer trying to survive in a younger
I think
criminal's
Brian. I
world?
don't know.
Drop
I
your
think
take in the
Brian
comments
is actually
below.
like a
I'll be
good
reading through
like
all of them.
fighting
And
about
while you're at it,
Jason,
make sure
but
to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more videos just like this one. Alright, with that all out of the way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.
yeah. I think Jason. I mean, I think Brian's actually a good friend of Chase's, but I don't know if he's. I don't know if he's a villain. I don't. I personally don't think he's a villain or yeah, the bad guy of the story. I don't even know. Like I still standing on Lucia betrays Jason, but but I don't know. I kind of don't want that to be true at the same time though. Like I think it is, but I don't want it to be true. Like, I just want to know how that affects like the after story. Um, I don't even know. Like people always say it's like cop guy. I mean, there's a possibility that it is Brian. So yeah, that's my opinion on it. Hope you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Peace.